My name is Zack Wilson. I'm a 10th grade English teacher at Columbia Heights Education Campus for DC Public Schools. I know you all have a lot of policy experts on the macro level working hard on the issue of chronic absenteeism, but I want to keep my own input on the local level, focused on specific case studies of students that I work with. So the first thing that I'm seeing is that like a huge fraction of students are not making it to their first period class, and it's frightening. Like mornings are hard, but I have a student right now we'll call Jessica, and she's a 10th grader with 24 absences in her first period Algebra 1 class. In just 6 weeks of school, she has 24 absences, and she's going to automatically fail Algebra 1 due to absences next week. And she took the same class last year. She's a sophomore, and she also failed it because she doesn't arrive the first hour of school. And this is a district-wide problem. It's not just our school. And so I have 3 suggestions for students like Jessica. First, we should offer a class at 3:30 where late students can attend the core classes they need to graduate. It doesn't need to be like everything is extended, but if you have 300 10th graders all taking one class, there should be one section of it offered after school because kids are missing their first period class. Second, I think it's important that the city needs to force schools to make the first period of the day not a class this child needs to graduate. Because kids are failing graduation requirements. Meanwhile, we have things like homeroom or classes that are more SEL based, right? And so those should be at the start of the day when kids are more likely to attend. And the third thing that I recommend is just the credit recovery system is still dysfunctional. Like there's no oversight and it's not working for kids. The second thing that I think will really help with kids who are chronically absent is that a lot of them are already in the school building. These are kids that come to school every day. They access this wraparound services the school provides. They access free lunches. They access after-school programs. But some of them aren't going to class. Like they're in the building from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but they're not attending, right? And schools are not sending enough contact. And when I was looking at like what is the district already doing, I found that you guys have Department of Human Services Truancy Reduction Program pilot. And as a teacher, I was impressed by what you guys were doing. From my understanding of it, like the relentless outreach approach of if parents decided they want to opt into it, you don't force them, but if they do opt in, and about half of parents did, they had a 93 outreach rate, which schools, when you try to contact families, it's much lower than that. So I think that spending your money and trying to make sure that you're actually getting through to families, that you're contacting them, that you're letting them know that you're doing home visits. Teachers, we're stretched too thin to do that. Coaches, we also can't do that, right, for the number of kids who aren't attending. So if you need to invest in something, it's outreach, I think, is a perfect place to start. We need help with home visits. Then finally, I wanted to talk about students who are Latino males. I know that a lot of people are correct about the fact they're the most, they're dropping out at the highest rate, and the school I'm at doesn't force these kids to drop out, but it does push them to other schools. And when it does that, there's not a case manager who's tracking, like, is this child showing up at their new school? Are they building relationships there? And so I think that when kids transition from one school to another, especially if they show their freshman year that they've ate a lot of things, the district needs to have a person who's responsible for that kid, who knows that they've transitioned from our school to opportunity academies or to adult public charter schools and is tracking, are they making it there? What's happening to them after that? Because we're talking about all the Trump stuff, but even before Trump was reelected, I still had Latino males dropping out from the start of 10th grade to the end, right? So I think we need to be more responsible about that. I think we want to look like we're not excluding anyone or kicking anyone out, but if you're pushing someone to change schools, you need to know what happens to them afterwards. I think schools need to track that. So those are the 3 suggestions I have based on students I know that I've worked with who have been struggling. Thank you for your time.